the fact is, International Women's Day is for all of us. It is not half the population speaking to itself. It is for all of us to recognise where we're at, celebrate the achievements we have, and set targets for the future. So I feel privileged to act as the MC for today. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country, and I'm going to read it because it's important. UNSW Canberra acknowledges and pays respect to the traditional owners of the land on which we gather for today's event, the Ngunnawal peoples. And for those of you online, the First Nations people of wherever you are. It is upon their ancestral lands that UNSW Canberra is built, and we share our own, as we share our own knowledge, teaching, research and learning practices within this university, may we also pay respect to the continuing knowledge and traditions of the Ngunnawal peoples. Since I'm doing acknowledgements, I'd like to acknowledge everyone who's here today. I'm not going to do the traditional go through the hierarchy. I just think it's really important that, and want to thank each of you who's come out here today and is acknowledging this important event. Some quick housekeeping. Most of you are locals, and so you'll be familiar with this. We are live streaming this event, so please be aware of that. There is an audience online as well. If you have a phone, please make sure it's on silent. If you have a laptop or other device, shut it up, put it away, because the focus is going to be here with Heidi, and you'll be entertained for the next period. If we need to evacuate this theatre, exits of course at the top here, and then just proceed in an orderly fashion to the left or right. There are exits on either side. The toilets finally are, again, up and out and across where most of you were enjoying the fare of this morning. One of the things that we say in our school is putting on a buffet is a way to get an audience here. Now, I wondered how that would play against the early start that we had, and I think it's kind of like 50-50 here in that regard, but thank you again for coming. Now, I'm going to almost overstep the mark of an MC for a second and do a little bit of an activity. Now, don't sweat. It's a warm-up for what Heidi's going to have you doing, but I want you to close your eyes and think about all the incredible people that make up your life. Apply the lens of gender, but think about the people who inspire you, who support you, who are creative, because tomorrow is an opportunity to acknowledge people. We as a species, we are adaptable. We are across every continent, we are in space, we're underwater. But adaptable means we take the good and the bad, and we take the good and we forget how good it is. So please reflect on the wonderful people around you. Appreciate that. And then use tomorrow as a reminder for an activity that I hope you will do throughout the year, which is acknowledge people who make your life better. All right. Unfortunately, our Dean and Rector, Professor Emma Sparks, can't be with us today, but she has left us with a message, and I'm just going to play that now.
Hi everyone. Thanks for taking the time to watch this quick video, and I'm really sorry that I can't be there to join you in person. However, a long-standing commitment has meant I'm currently overseas. International Women's Day is an opportunity for us all to come together to celebrate and champion the positive contribution women make to our communities, workplaces and homes. UNSW Canberra prides itself on being a place where everyone, regardless of gender, race, ethnicity or cultural beliefs, is supported and recognised for their successes, both in the workplace and in the wider community. For me, the important thing is that I see this recognition in action every day across the faculty, and it's something I'm very proud of, and I hope you are too. To acknowledge the wide-reaching contribution of the women we work and live with, we're holding today's International Women's Day event. This event should be a celebration for all of us, and it should also allow us to focus on the key theme of the day, which is embracing equity. I hope today will allow us to further embed one of the key principles in our new UNSW Canberra strategy, which is focused on embracing our people and culture and empowering individuals to flourish. Today, you can hear from our fantastic keynote speaker, Heidi Denning, who is an award-winning businesswoman, former educator, and best-selling author. Heidi's an engaging storyteller, and she will share with you how you can become a champion for not only yourself, but also for your colleagues and students. You will also hear from our very own Spike Barlow, who will MC the event and the Q&A session, along with Alexandra Malloy, who is a lecturer in aviation here at UNSW Canberra. Alexandra will be sharing the objectives of the Women at UNSW Canberra programme and how you can champion and participate in it. Your support for this year's International Women's Day event is a positive reflection of how far we have come as an organisation in recognising the importance of an inclusive and diverse workplace. So let's continue to work together to push the boundaries and break through new barriers so you and the people around you can excel in an environment that values everyone's contribution and experiences. Thank you for listening and enjoy the day.
Thank you, Emma, for that. I really do find it heartening that it's explicitly acknowledged that equity and diversity are key issues for us, that it's embedded in the strategy for us. It's something that I care about deeply. And personally, I'm a big one who pursues win-win interactions. Now, diversity and inclusivity means no one loses. Inclusivity means everyone comes along for the ride, and we harness the diversity for the benefit of all of us. So it's win-win. Okay. All right, let's get to the main event and let's get me out of the way. I'm going to read this because it's important, and I'm not going to use my my poor extemporaneous skills to, it'll just detract. So, International Women's Day is a day to celebrate and a call to action for us to keep persevering through the challenges that we all face. If we want to learn from women who have persevered through adversities, our next speaker will certainly be will certainly have a unique perspective on what it takes, because she's like a cat with 9 lives. She has survived a gunpoint kidnapping, paralysing illness, a life-threatening tsunami, and being burned alive by petrol bombs. When you combine that with her impressive health education background, you know you're about to hear the truth about how to persevere through challenging times, and that's what we're all doing, of course. Heidi was named Best International Keynote Speaker in the Asia Pacific region, is a best-selling author, and has empowered thousands of people across the globe with resilience, self-leadership, and well-being programs. From small children on remote Pacific Islands to professional teams across 19 industries. She professes to being a proud Rafael Nadal devotee. As I said to her before, the little wizard Lionel Messi is my favourite, greatest of all time sporting person, but Nadal's pretty cool too. And is not too embarrassed to admit that she's still a die-hard Rod Stewart fan.
Rock and Rod.
Yeah, I won't counter with my 70s and 80s icons in this case. And if you don't know who Rod Stewart is, Google will tell you, of course.
For the younger ones.
Finally, Heidi is the host of the Wine and Wisdom Show. So please join me in giving a very warm welcome to speaker, author, and animal lover, Heidi Denning. Welcome, Heidi.
Hand up if you have experienced at least a smidge of stress in the last 6 months. At least a smidge. Give me some jazz hands if it's been a bit more than a smidge. Proper jazz hands all the way up. Shake the shoulders. Come on. Yeah. I'm not surprised. I mean, I cannot even begin to imagine what it has been like to be in the tertiary sector over the last number of years. I mean, I don't know how you're all still standing. Which is why today, what I'd love to do is to share with you some business strategies. They're going to be like a recipe for de-stressing. They're going to be like a recipe for performance and a recipe for a more equitable future for all of us. Now, these strategies have come from my business background of over 25 years, and they've been tried and tested through some of the struggles real life struggles that Spike mentioned. And just if you're thinking there's not a chance that could all happen to the one person, I have been forced into a car with an AK-47 at my head when I was stupidly hitchhiking in Africa. I did catch a random virus, which meant I lost the use of both my legs for the following 8 months. I have had to make what I thought was the very last I love you goodbye phone call to my husband as a life-threatening tsunami approached. And I was nearly burnt alive while I slept when petrol bombs were thrown at my bedroom as I was leading a team in the Pacific. And in case you're thinking, get that girl and her bad luck away from me, I don't blame you for thinking that. I wish I could get away from myself sometimes. But the reason I'm telling you this is that I really do know what it takes to persevere through challenging times. I know what works, what doesn't work. I know that not everything you read in a textbook is helpful, and I know that we all respond differently to the same events. Like we all respond differently to this topic on International Women's Day. There's no one perfect answer, is there? What I do know, though, is it's going to take perseverance, and it's going to take little acts of courage if we want to shift the dial. So if you would like to know the truth about what it takes to persevere through challenges like an inequitable future bring, then I hope you can trust in me to tell you that truth. But before we get started, I would love to highlight a woman who has inspired me since I was a little girl. And that woman is my grandma. I used to call her Famma because I couldn't say grandma when I was little, but my grandma was an incredible woman. Who else had an incredible grandma? Give me some jazz hands if you had an incredible grandma. Yeah, they're amazing, aren't they? And like many women of my grandma's era, she lost her husband way too early due to the Second World War. And oh gosh, she loved my grandfather so deeply. And his loss broke her heart, but it also nearly broke her. It really did. But she had two young girls to bring up, my mum and my aunt. And she also wanted to fulfill his dying wish, which was to keep the family farm in the family. Now, of course, she didn't really want to do this. She didn't know how she was going to do this. But from the day he died, she did do that. She kept it, she coped with it, she succeeded with it. She had 350 acres on the mid-north coast of New South Wales where she had bananas and cattle. And she kept it until she sold it when she was 85 years of age. I mean, it's incredible. And like all good country women, she was a proud member of the CWA. Now, I don't know if you know much about the Country Women's Association, but they were formed in 1922, and they have had lobbyists and fighters around really incredible causes since that time. I mean, if they are not the pioneers of gender equity, I don't know who are. But the other thing the CWA are renowned for is their cooking. And my grandma used to make the most incredible custard from the CWA cookbook. Oh my gosh, it was just to die for. And these CWA recipes, of course, have been well loved by thousands of Australians for decades. But today, we're going to talk about a different kind of recipe. We're going to talk about the recipe for equity. And we're going to talk about the 3 ingredients we need in our workplaces to make sure that that recipe tastes good. And those 3 ingredients are courage, well-being, and amplification. So let's start with the first ingredient, which is courage. And to do that, I'd like to take you on a journey to Vanuatu. Since I was 20 years of age, I have worked, lived and holidayed on and off in Vanuatu. Who else has been to Vanuatu in this room? It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. Well, for 13 of those years, I had an education not-for-profit where we partnered with local communities to deliver girls' empowerment programs for teenage girls and literacy programs in primary schools. We had the most impactful project, which was that kind of our final project, which was the build of a library on one of the remote islands called Tanna. Now, this community on Tanna wanted more than anything to raise the literacy levels of the next generation, because they knew when people have improved literacy, they have improved life opportunities. And in fact, with you all sitting here on International Women's Day sipping coffee, you're going to be helping raise the next generation's literacy levels here in Australia, because I will be donating a day of digital training to an Indigenous community on your behalf. So thank you for your multitasking. I really appreciate that. Well done to you. Now, I really believe my grandma inspired me to start this not-for-profit, because I had just spent my entire life watching her do everything she could for the community around her that she felt was doing it tougher than she was. And by seeing this happen all my life, it instilled a belief in me that we should all be doing whatever it takes to give equal opportunities to everyone around us. I mean, her service to her community ended up with her winning this Australia Day Local Hero Award when she was 88 years of age. I mean, she was still helping people then, hence why she was highlighted. But back in Vanuatu, it took us 3 long years to build that library, because we wanted everyone in the community to play a part. From the year 4 kids who dug the first hole to a 70-year-old elder who handmade the 3,000 bricks. We had mamas who would shovel the coral from the beach to put in the concrete slab. We had young men doing their carpentry license, do their practical component on our library. And on one sweltering hot day, we had 50 giggling children who stood in a row between the one tap in the room and where we were making the concrete for the library, passing a bucket. Now, this had to happen because Dumbo here didn't realise that you actually need water to make concrete. Did you know that? You know, yeah, you need water. And therefore, when there's only one tap in the whole school environment, you should have ordered a hose, which I hadn't done. So the kids, they stood in a row and we had like a full bucket here at the tap, and they'd dance and they'd giggle and they'd play and it'd get passed along, and we'd end up with about this much water by the end of it. I mean, it took us all day, but it was so much fun. And on the day of the grand opening, there was speeches, there was feasts, and there was dancing. And there were hundreds of adults and children who, for the very first time in their life, got to walk into a library and hold a brand new, culturally appropriate book. I'm not sure if you can see this cute little poppet. Her name was Init. Now, I know you're not supposed to have favourites, but she was mine. I'm just not sure if I was her favourite. The story I'm telling myself is that she was asking me for 2 books. She just got her fingers around the wrong way. Unfortunately, though, only months after this beacon of education was opened, Vanuatu experienced its most catastrophic natural disaster in its history, in the form of Cyclone Pam. And like we are seeing around Australia and around the world, in New Zealand, Turkey, Syria, and 2 more cyclones last week in Vanuatu, these natural disasters can destroy everything in a heartbeat. I'll never forget talking to Joseph, one of the village chiefs. he told me when that cyclone was approaching that they had nowhere to hide. So what they did is they gathered everyone from the village. They got all the children to curl up into little balls on the ground. The mamas knelt over the top of them, linking elbows, pinning the kids down. And then the men laid starfish style over the top of everyone in their village, desperately hanging onto each other with what we call in Vanuatu a cyclone grip. They stayed that way for 6 long hours as that cyclone raged ferociously over the top of them. Can you imagine how frightening that would be? The children were screaming in terror, everyone was drenched, and they were hoping and praying that all the thousands of uprooted coconut palms and the debris from their huts that was flying around would not hit them and cut them in two. When we think about courage, it is this physical courage that the people of Joseph's village demonstrated on that day, which is what we normally think about. But it is not the kind of courage that we need on a daily basis in our workplaces to create this recipe for equity. We need a different kind of courage. So today, we're going to talk about the social, moral, and emotional courage that we need at work, and how when we have a diverse collection of these types of courage within our teams, it allows us to create a more connected, energized, and equitable team environment. Now, I need to just go on a little tangent because I'm on the ADF side here. After that cyclone, I was there for, helping in the rebuild. And one day I was completely overwhelmed with how on earth we were going to start over. And I took myself on a long walk. And sometimes when you take yourself away from your workplace, away from a project, you get to have one of those light bulb moments, which I did that day, because I realised that the ADF were there on Tanna. They'd been sent there to help out, like they are now in Vanuatu, in fact. And I knew they had the skills and resources that I didn't have. So I took myself up to their camp. And I think they just thought, who is this crazy Sydney girl here by herself amongst all this devastation? And you know what they did? They worked from dawn to dusk for the next 10 days to make our library watertight again. So being on this side, I needed to just tell you that little part of the story. And a massive thanks to the ADF for doing the work they continue to do in these types of situations. But let's start, when we're talking about courage at work, with a first one, which is social courage. Now, social courage comes with a bit of a risk at work, doesn't it? It's much easier if we just can agree with everybody else's ideas and opinions. And when we are socially courageous at work, we put ourselves at risk of being unpopular, of being excluded, and for our peers to actually, to be just excluded from the social groups that we're in. But of course, on the flip side of that, when we are strong with our social courage, it means that we find a way to articulate why and how our beliefs and ideas and our opinions are worth listening to. I couldn't think of a better example of someone who showed social courage than Magda Szubanski. You may remember her fondly as Sharon in the Kath and Kim TV series. But Magda, during the same-sex marriage debate here in Australia a number of years ago, demonstrated incredible levels of social courage, as did so many others. And because of her, we now have much fairer legislation here in Australia. Now, I have to admit that my levels of social courage are not great. It's not my strong point. I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I like to be liked, and it is absolutely pathetic to still want this at this age, but it is my reality. So if you were to think about what level of social courage you have from 1 to 5, 1 being a little bit like me, perhaps a people pleaser, or 5 being a bit like Magda. If you could put up your fist and then give me a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Let's see in the room if we have a diverse collection. Some ones, thank you. Thank you for, oh, look, yes. Thank you for your honesty, everybody. For those of you who are a 1 or a 2, please don't worry, you can't be great at everything, okay? You can't be great at everything. So the second type of courage that we're going to look at is moral courage. Moral courage. Now, this is all about our values and our beliefs, and whether we are willing to stand up and speak out with what we believe in rather than just thinking about it. Those amongst us with moral courage are role models to us all, because actions speak 1,000 words. And if we have a nod to former Chief of Army David Morrison here with his great speech, the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. And no matter what your political beliefs are, I don't think we can go past former Prime Minister Julia Gillard when it comes to moral courage. She showed high levels of moral courage during her term, and she certainly showed high levels of courage with her misogyny speech. Those amongst us with moral courage are really great role models. And our third and final type of courage that is important for us to have in our workplaces is emotional courage. And this is all about how embracing how we feel. Ooh, that's not something everyone likes to do, is it? Talk about our feelings. But emotional courage is all about us, being okay to share when we are vulnerable. Being okay to speak our truth when we are not feeling like the facade that we all put on social media, for example. In a world where we have admired people who have been stoic in the past, this movement towards emotional courage is a positive step. A great example of this type of courage is someone called Sam Bloom. Now, if you don't know Sam's story, she had a tragic accident in Thailand which left her physically and mentally broken. And she talks openly now about how she felt post-accident a failure as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, as a friend, as a human. There's been a beautiful movie made about her actually called Penguin Bloom. And it tells of her recovery and how this this magpie called Penguin, an injured magpie, yes, that's a magpie, not a penguin, how this injured magpie brought hope and laughter back into her life. If you get a chance to watch it, it's just a really good feel-good movie. But Sam is so inspirational because in the face of such adversity, she has been unwilling and very hesitant to talk about her mental health struggles, but she understands by her speaking about them, she's actually helping others who are battling with their mental health struggles. So to me, that is a really great example of emotional courage. So if you were to think about which one of those three comes naturally to you, which one is you're strongest at, can we have a show of hands? Who is strongest at social courage? Hands up. Who has moral courage as their superpower? Hands up for those people. And who is doing really well with the emotional courage? Look at this diverse collection that we've got here. It's amazing. This is exactly what we want in teams, a diverse collection of courage, because when we know this about each other, it helps, it does two things. It helps us to be more connected to each other, and when we are more connected with each other, we work more effectively together. And it also, when we have this diverse collection of courage from our diverse backgrounds, from our diverse experiences, it allows us to solve more challenges like inequity. So whichever one you are strongest at, keep doing that. Be remembered as that person who has great social, moral, or emotional courage. For all the A-type personalities in this room who are thinking, I want to be brilliant at all of them, let it go, let it go. Perfection is a fairy tale. Being great at one is absolutely fine. I love this, this quote by Marianne Radmacher. She's an author. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is a quiet voice at the end of the day, whispering, I'll try again tomorrow. Because you see, courage comes in all shapes and sizes. It's not just the courage we see from our ADF or from the people in Joseph's village. At work, to create this recipe for equity, we need social, moral, and emotional courage. The next recipe, the next ingredient in our recipe for equity is well-being. Now, why do we need to talk about that, I hear you ask? Well, this is the thing. We cannot embrace equity if we are physically and mentally depleted. We cannot make a difference in our world if we are running on empty. And we cannot perform at our best at work if we are not implementing the good well-being habits that we know serve us well. NASA has done quite a lot of research on this link between habits and high performance. And the media are forever telling us about the famous people have some really quirky and interesting habits that sets them apart from everyone else. And I thought we would have a look at them. On the left here, we have Anna Wintour. She is editor-in-chief of Vogue. Now, Anna's habit is that every single morning, before she goes to work, she plays a set of tennis. Rain, hail or shine. She says it's the only time she doesn't have everyone kind of taking a piece of her. She can be focused and be present before she has to be on fire for the day. That's her morning habit. Who knows who's in the centre? Rafael Nadal, my favourite, of course. Now, for those of you who don't know, Rafa has a very interesting habit that he has before every point. And just to show you that, I thought I'd just, rather than be saying it, show you a video.
Fellas, yeah, fellas, yeah, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake that healthy butt. Baby got ass.
I see you, baby, shaking that ass.
I think you get the idea, right? Yeah. Now, Rafa has won over $200 million worth of prize money. He can definitely buy a pair of undies that do not give him a wedgie, but he's been interviewed about this so many times, and he just says, look, I don't even know I'm doing it. It's just this habit I've got to do for my pre-performance to set myself up for the next point. Weird, right? And of course we have Pink. Who's seen Pink live? Who's got tickets to a concert next year? Oh my gosh, I'm still trying to get one. Right, Pink has 3 pre-performance habits that she does every time. Now, the first one is that she doesn't like anyone else doing her makeup. She doesn't want anyone poking around her face while she's trying to get in the zone. So she does her own makeup, and while she's doing that, a second habit is she always has a big, long glass of beer as she's doing it. But it's this third habit that is quite quirky, and I just would like to say this is not a habit I recommend that anybody does at work, all right? Do not do this one at work. Pink's third pre-performance habit, just before she's about to go on stage, she's over in the curtains, the music started, the crowd is roaring, everyone's like, come on stage. What Pink does is she gets somebody, a friend of hers, to tweak her nipples. Yes, she does, just before she comes on stage. Now, as I said, do not try this at work, even if you think it's going to get you through the afternoon. Yeah, strange, I know. But what is the number one habit that I can recommend to you all to do on a daily basis that will not get you in trouble with HR? Well, it is called CPRing your day. And it stands for cut off, prioritise personal, and reflect. So number one is cut off. How do you create a buffer between your work life and your home life, even when that's sometimes within the same four walls? Can you take a shower, change your clothes, light a candle, take a dog for the walk, take the dog for a walk? I don't know, did anyone see this meme during lockdown? It's just my absolute favourite. I am not going for another walk, leave me alone. Whose dog got to walk a lot during the lockdown? Yes. But tell me, shout it out. What is it that you have done and what you are still doing to symbolise that cut-off point from work to home? What do you do? Shout it out. Come on, you must do something. No one cuts off. There's got to be something that you do.
Well, I jump in a car, drive with the music on.
With the music on. Love that. Yeah, that's a good cut-off point. Absolutely. What else? Go for a swim. Love it. Beautiful. That's like all the day's challenges are off me. One up here, was there? Perfect. Ah, beautiful. I love that. I love that. One more? You get out of your work clothes, yeah. It's like a real change of clothes. I'm here at home now. And going back to what you said, actually, PwC did a study recently, and they found only 37% of people can actually cut off properly from their work life. So if I'm to ask this room, hand up, if you believe that you can cut off 100% from your work life and be present in your home life. Could I have a show of hands, please? That's not 37%. No, so we're a little low here. Anyway, today's going to help for sure. So cut off is the first one. And when we cut off from work and we prioritise our personal life, even for small moments of time, it actually helps us be more effective in our professional lives. So what are you going to do tonight? Spend time with your family, laugh with your friends, share food with your flatmates, give love to your fur babies. We'll go out and have some fun. But prioritise your personal life. Talking about fun, one great way that Harvey mentioned was about music, getting our groove on to some great tunes. Well, now we all have that one song, right, that makes us want to dance on a table, no matter what age we are. And I want you to think about what that one song is for you, because what we are going to do is we are going to create a UNSW Canberra International Women's Day Spotify playlist with everybody's favourite song that makes them want to dance on a table, so you have a resource to go to when you need to cut off from work. Now, my absolute favourite that makes me want to dance on the table is The Killers, Mr. Brightside. And I'm about to press play on that one. Now, for those of you who love that song as well, don't stress. What I'm going to ask you to do is stay seated, but dance in your seat with your arms in the air to my song. You're going to do this for me. You're going to do this for me. For those of you who think it's kind of okay, you can just kind of do it out the front. And for those of you who really hate this kind of interaction in a presentation, you can just like do a tiny little, yeah, and oh, you were going to exit. I thought he was going to exit. It's like, I'm out of here. All right, are you ready? Are you ready? We are going to get our groove on. Are you ready to go? Up, 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 up. Yeah, because no one will dance. So come on for me. Like either in the air, out front, or a tiny little shimmy. Come on. Those of you at home, you can just be dancing at home, feeling very safe compared to everyone in this room. Thank very much. Well done, well done. Can I just say there are a few people who didn't move? I'm not going to name and shame, and I do not take offence. But if you could please take out your phones now, scan this QR code, and we're going to put your favourite I Want to Dance on a Table song. I need the artist as well as the song because I'm old and I don't always know the artists. Please remember, this is not the song you listen to when you have a broken heart. This is not the song you listen to on a Sunday afternoon when you're chilling with a glass of wine. This is a song that makes you want to dance on a table. We'll have a few moments to get that in. Artist and song, please. All right. Should we go over to the results page now, John? And see what kind of Spotify playlist we're going to have? Here we are. Okay. Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. Who put that one? Who put that one? All right. Copy of my book. My goodness, I love that song. Her middle name is Courage. Thank you for that song. Amazing. Thank you. What else have we got? Bruce Springsteen. Kiss. Oh, Kiss. Who put Kiss? I Was Made for Loving You. Harvey, I'm going to have to give you a book because, like, seriously, I have not heard that song forever, and I think I may have accidentally danced on a table once in my life to that song. What else have we got? Metallica, Lay Down by DMA, Set Rain to Fire. Oh, look at this amazing, diverse Spotify playlist. This is the best. Wham! Groove is in the Heart. Remember, I need the artists as well. So I know. Another Bon Jovi, Taylor Swift, absolutely. This is fantastic. Oh, Fight Song, love it. Nirvana, I wish I had another book. That's another one I may have danced on a table to once. Bryan Adams, oh, this is amazing Spotify playlist. Now, thank you for everybody for... Yeah, okay. Just so you know that if you keep adding them and they're ones that I don't think are dance on table type songs, like someone did last week when they added John Williamson's True Blue, delete. All right, we'll go back to the PowerPoint. Thank you very much. Amazing. I will be sharing a resource page with you at the end of this presentation, and you'll be able to save that list to your Spotify account, and I will have it all updated by tomorrow with all the songs. So thank you for sharing it. And the last part in our CPR formula is reflect. Now, this is a practice that I learned when I was seeing a psychologist a number of years ago after that petrol bomb incident. And one of the things that happened because of that particular challenge, let's say, was that I couldn't fall asleep or stay asleep. So she taught me to end my day at the end of every day with one thing that had gone well, which helped me go to bed with a sense of optimism rather than being paralysed by fear. And this practice worked really well for me, and since then I've been sharing it with thousands of professionals across the globe. Because you see, when you get into the habit of scanning your day and extracting that one thing that went well, even on the most diabolical days, it can really change your perspective on how life really is. Because of course, when things aren't going well, it's hard to see the light. So getting into this habit at the end of your day, either by yourself or with someone you live with or with a friend or just in a journal, it's a great practice to have. CPR, such a simple habit. In our Western culture, we believe we need a 100-page strategy document for anything to work. But in fact, it's these little actions that we actually take that can make the biggest difference. So what's your CPR plan going to be? What's it going to look like from now on. We're going to take a few minutes to talk amongst one or two people who are sitting near you about what you can do, what you have done with your CPR plan. What do you do that cuts off from your day? How are you going to prioritise some personal time? And what are you going to do to reflect? 3 minutes, just have a chat. Those of you at home, you could just write it down on a piece of paper. All right, let's go. 3 minutes. Just chat with people around you. Maybe if you go up there, let's go. Hello, how are you?
Oh, it's nice to see you because I don't have my phone here and I would have uploaded Stevie Winwood's If You See a Chance, Take It.
Oh, I love that song.
I like Simply the Best.
Oh, yes, Tina Turner? Tina Turner, yeah. You didn't have to. Yeah, I know. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can upload it later. Once you get the link, you can upload it later. Definitely do it. Yeah.
So great to look at. I really was struck by, the courage that you're talking. The civic life really sense the crimes.
Yeah. Well, there's also intellectual courage. It just is a time today, but and that's people who do think outside the box, and especially with like academics, I suppose. But I thought that because that would be their natural one, I thought let's address the other three.
And it is so important in the environment like we are, like an environment.
Yes.
To tell, to listen, and just to do those sort of things.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is really important to look out for it, because we all have different styles, right? Yeah. All right.
My 4-year-old daughter came to me another day and she said, "Mommy, you're always working. You don't play with Stephanie. She's 2. I just was so upset about it.
Wow.
That a 4-year-old
would notice it.
Yeah, it was that in the way look, Mom, you're always busy, you do so much work, but then but you don't like with
Yeah.
Exactly.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely. But you've made a safe environment for her to do that, which is really great.
She's easy to communicate and she can communicate. So
Beautiful. Good on you. Yes. I love that. Right.
But also over here we're not seeing you.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, let's wrap that up. It's terrible when I ask people to start chatting and then I ask them to stop when they're right in the middle of the conversation, right? When we prioritise our mental health habits, when we prioritise our well-being habits, it gives the world the best of us, not what is left of us. So please, do what it takes to make that a priority. The third and final ingredient in our recipe for equity is amplification. Now, I'm not sure if you know this story, but during former President Barack Obama's presidency, when he first came into office, 2/3 of his top aides were men. And the women in the White House had a lot of trouble getting into the important meetings. And when they finally were able to elbow themselves in to get a seat at the table, they felt that their ideas and opinions were not being recognised as much as they should. So the female staffers adopted what they called a meeting amplification strategy. And what that meant was that when one woman said had a great contribution, another woman would repeat it and give credit to the author. So, for example, if that was at UNSW Canberra in a meeting, it would be something like, Anne, thank you. That's a great idea about partnering with XYZ company to help us solve the student accommodation crisis that we have here. It's repeating the idea and it's giving credit and recognition to the person who first said it. When we amplify the voices of all our colleagues, it helps give them the support, the courage, and the feeling that they can, the safety of it, to contribute their ideas. And when we've all had different skills, different backgrounds, different experiences, if we get everybody's ideas, we can start to solve the problems that we need to solve, problems like inequity. So how do you do that? Well, when you see it, or you hear it, you repeat it. Simple, just like that example I gave. Anne, thank you for that idea, partnering with XYZ company to solve this student accommodation crisis. Or when you see it or you hear it, you recognise it. And that's just something like, Anne, thank you for that great idea. Now, to help you get into the habit of saying those kinds of expressions when you hear good contributions from your team members, I've put together this 5-day amplification challenge for you. And it's just 5 simple expressions for you to try and use over the next 5 days, once a day, to get into this habit of calling out and amplifying good contributions from the people you work with. This will also be in your resources at the end of this presentation. When the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful. You could be that voice for somebody else. When we amplify the voices of everyone around us, this collective, this diverse collective, it makes people feel seen and heard. And as we know, when we are seen and heard, we feel valued. And we all know how important that is. Talking about the resources, if you would like to scan this QR code, you will be sent to a page with all the different resources I've put. Don't look at them all now. There's a little icon in the top right-hand corner. Email that page to yourself, and then at your leisure, you can just download what you need. There'll be that amplification challenge. There'll be the CPR document. There'll be the link to the Spotify playlist. There'll be an opportunity to win 10 of my books. 1 for you, 9 for your friends. By just leaving a comment, you will get into the draw, which I am drawing at the end of this month. And you also help me understand what's resonated well with you today. So that would be very helpful for me. But there's lots of different resources on how you can take action on what we've talked about today. I will also be sending those things via email to Tom, and he will forward them on to you all. So I'd like to loop back to my grandma. As I said to you, she made incredible custard, and she also won an Australia Day award for the service in a local area for the service she gave to her community. And in this newspaper article, you can see she says, it's very nice, but I like to work behind the scenes, which of course, she's so sweet and humble. Of course, she said that. But I think it's important to remember, as we are striving to create this recipe for equity, that we do need to do lots of work behind the scenes. This recipe for equity has many ingredients. We have only touched on 3 of them today: courage, well-being, and amplification. But we know that to create any kind of recipe that tastes great, that's going to be loved by thousands and remembered for decades, that it will take work behind the scenes and more than 3 ingredients. But I feel confident that when we've got incredible humans like all of you who come here this morning, who are continuing to persevere to make change possible, working either out front or behind the scenes, that we will definitely get this recipe right. And when we do that, we are going to create a better, a brighter, and more meaningful future for all of us. Happy International Women's Day, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Heidi. Inspirational. I'll throw the requisite joke in first. You're at a land where acronyms are du jour for us. We work in a military environment, so I loved CWA, CPR as really useful shorthands. I call out 2 behaviours that really resonated with me. Reflection is the thing that we are now folding into the way that we approach assessment as well, and I think it's the way that we learn our lessons. Right? If we don't create time for ourselves through reflection, we're not doing as good a job as we could. And I love that amplification, I really do. And really, for all my colleagues in the room, all the academics, this is what we do all the time. We always acknowledge others' work, and let's just do it more explicitly outside our little technical domains and acknowledge the contributions of others. I'd like now, so please join me in thanking Heidi again. We'll actually call her up again in a minute. But I'd like to invite my colleague, Dr. Alexandra Malloy, to come and speak to us for a few minutes about the Women at Canberra initiative. Thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you, Spike. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, thank you, Heidi, for such an incredible presentation. Definitely the recipe and the ingredients of courage, well-being and amplification is taken on board. And I'm already working on improving my CPR plan.
Good to hear.
Something that is important to mention and also to share with you and everyone is one of our recipes at UNSW Canberra that we do to embrace equity. And one of our recipes is one of the initiatives, which is Women at UNSW Canberra. It is really that for everyone, for all academic and for professional, it is sustainable and multi-streamed program and initiative. In simple words, 3 purposes: continuous support of all academics, breaking implicit and explicit boundaries between schools, and also to embrace equity. I'll tell you a couple of points about the plans this year. Some of the part for the academic is a Women at UNSW Canberra Champions program. It's really interesting one because it is for early career academics and mid-career academics to improve professional and personal development, to maintain that mentoring component, to develop leadership skills and social engagement skills, via outreach with the broader community. What's new this year? We accept an expression of interest not only from academics, but also from postdocs and HDR candidates. So if you have anyone in mind or you would like to participate, I really invite you. I invite you to participate as a champion, as a mentor in this program, or as a facilitator. For mentors, this year we're going to be giving out digital badges at the end of the program. So if you're looking to volunteer, or also if you have any volunteering outreach activities that you'll be looking for volunteers, please reach out, because we might have champions who would like to do and assist inside or outside UNSW Canberra. Apart from this, we are planning a number of professional development workshops and lectures, and please look out for the announcement shortly. We are going to be hosting the Life-Work Balance by Melanie Kovacs, and this is planned to be run at the end of April. Apart from that, social and networking engagement is very important. So if we can, 2 weeks from now, we are starting doing that. Just downstairs in Lecture Theatre North every fortnight. Tuesday, 9 to 10, come and say hi, meet and greet, and just tell us about your CPR plans. If you have any idea, please feel free to reach out, and definitely it will be taken on board. For professional part, it has been a great success last year as well, with a number of professional development workshops and social networking events. So this year, it's continued the non-verbal communication workshops. Again, they keep an eye for the details. It's also going to be continuing the My Career Profile series and work-life balance newsletter tips and reminders. Apart from that, social and networking part, yay. So that's something to look forward, and also starting from late March, come and join 9:30 to 10 a.m. and walking groups. So all the dates and details of the events will be communicated via newsletters in your school or faculty. So please feel free to provide any ideas. We're all welcome. It is for everyone, for all professional and academic staff. So we all welcome you. And I would encourage you to celebrate today, tomorrow, and throughout the year. International Women's Day, it's not only about that 8th of March, it's every day. So congratulations and happy International Women's Day. If you have any questions, so Natalie G, Christine Wittich, or myself, so points of contact, so please feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Alexandra. Heidi, if you would come up, please. I just have a couple of small gifts from the faculty to give you. So thank you, so much.
Amazing.
So please thank Heidi again.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are not having a Q&A session in here. We're doing much better than that. Heidi is around for the next hour, and so I'm sure that there's food and drink left over. Heidi will be mingling, so please come up and speak to Heidi individually. Thank you all so much for attending. Take the lessons home that were from Heidi. Think about the people that are valuable in your life and tell them that. Have a great day, great week. Thank you, guys.